You are listening to Sean Harrison on Amp Life Talk Radio, a place for amputees and those dealing with limb loss. The views expressed on the show by the host, co-hosts, and guests are their own. Always seek medical advice from a licensed medical professional.
And hello, everyone out there in Talk Radio land. I want to welcome everybody back to another episode of Amp Life Talk Radio, a show for amputees and those affected by limb loss. If you're new to the show, welcome. I'm glad to have you guys here. Man, I got to tell you, Modesto, it's tried to get up to 104 today. It's hot. It is hot. So wherever you're at, hopefully it's cooler than where I'm at. And most of you saw, if you saw the previews that I put up before the show, we are going to have some pretty cool stuff on tonight and talk about. So if you're into fitness, I met a guy tonight on one of my peer visits. He's a young guy. He wanted to get into the weight room, and he was a little bit apprehensive. He's a below-knee amputee. He really wants to get into working out and fitness, and I think that's always a difficult point for amputees and fitness. They want to do something. They want to get into a gym. They want to find their place. They want to get more active, losing weight, or whatever it may be. And it's always that weird place that they feel like, you know, can I go to a gym? Should I go to a gym? I don't feel too comfortable going to a gym. I know some of you remember, I think it was last year, I had a guy on my show by the name of Mason Hall. He was on my show. He's a strongman, doing some awesome things. Well, we had a great opportunity to get in touch with some of the people that actually put on the competition that he was in, and I managed to stay in touch with them. And one of the things I wanted to do is I wanted to have them on the show because I know there's so many amputees out there or people who want to get into some type of adaptive, competitive weightlifting or training. And I wanted to let you know there's avenues for people to be able to do stuff like that. So tonight, what I did was I managed to get some special guests on the show. And I want them to come on and tell you about some of the things that they got going on. And tonight I have Steve and Assoff on the show. They are involved in a very, very special competition that I think some of you are going to find very interesting. You guys there?
We are, Sean. Thank you for the introduction. This is Steve Fotion. I'm actually currently the strongest man over 50 in America. And as well, let's let Assoff talk for just a moment.
And hey guys, my name's Assoff Dory, and I'm an above the knee amputee, and I can tell you a bit of my story, how I got involved in this.
Awesome. We got some people tuning in. So everybody say hello to our guests tonight. Always give your shout outs where you're from. Michael, I saw you today, man. Michael, this is right up your alley because you were talking about this with me today. So we have our two special guests on. They're involved in something that is, I think, is pretty awesome. Well, first off, I think it's awesome where it's at. It's in Colorado, if I'm right. Am I right?
It's just outside of Aspen, Colorado, at a place called Crown Mountain Park, which looks at 7 different ski areas and the Crown Mountain and Mount Sopris in the background. It's a picturesque place for an event. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better place. When I actually found this, Sean, was probably 6 years ago. I was wandering the park on my bike with my son, and we came across the venue, and I said to my wife, this would be a great place for a strongman contest, and then, 5 years later, we had a contest there. Very welcoming, great community, literally minutes from Aspen. If anybody you want to come to the heart of the Rockies, you're in the heart of the Rockies here.
That's awesome. So first off, I want to give me a little background on both of you.
Well, a little bit. Well, I have personally been a personal trainer since 1987. I went to Keene State College to get a degree in fitness management and moved to Colorado and was actually run over by a truck. So I spent 7 months rehabbing injuries from being run over by a truck to a year later compete as a bodybuilder. Able-bodied. I don't have any disabilities now other than my mental disability. but been in the strength game literally since I was 14 years old. I joined the Army at 17. Opened a gym, I think, 11 years ago, and have had the opportunity to train with some amazing strength athletes. And one of my dearest friends is Brian Shaw. He lives on the Front Range of Colorado, about 3 hours from here. He's actually 4 times world's strongest man, and he's actually going to be at our event as a guest speaker, judge, and award presentator. You know, he's 6'8", got a TV show on History Channel, 1 million followers on Instagram. If you're into strength athletics, you know who Brian Shaw is.
Wow.
So I've been doing, I won the Western Colorado bodybuilding contest in 1991, I think, and this is my second year as the strongest man over 50 in America. So that's kind of, I got out of bodybuilding because it was very self-absorbed and not conducive to family living, and Strongman is very conducive to family living, very supportive of a community, and by God, Strongman is fun, and that's what draws me to it and keeps me in it.
Cool.
So that's a little bit about me. We own and operate a gym. I train athletes from 13 years old to 77 years old, and anybody in between.
And so when you came up with this, what kind of gave you the idea to kind of get this started?
Well, I was at the Arnold Classic, several years ago now with Brian, and I witnessed they have actually the World Championship for disabled athletes at Columbus, Ohio, at the Arnold Classic. That's a gigantic fitness expo put on by Arnold Schwarzenegger himself. And I saw it, and I wandered around, and I was watching the athletes and the camaraderie, and I realized that there was a shortcoming in it, that they separated, the pro strongmen were on one side, the amateur athletes were totally other days, but then on Sunday afternoon, they had the disabled world's strongest man. And by that time, the crowds were thinned out a little bit. The athletes were still as enthusiastic, but I didn't think they were getting a fair shake as far as the limelight goes or the opportunities, because, for sponsorship and this and that,
yes,
it's all about people. What I wanted to do after seeing that, I says, I need to put together an event and bring able-bodied athletes at the amateur level and disabled athletes together on the same venue, the same platform, and give them equal billing. And because likewise, the able-bodied athletes certainly motivate the disabled, but 100-fold in return do the adaptive or disabled, if you will, athletes motivate the able-bodied athletes. Because frankly, if I get out of bed and I have 2 feet to hit the floor, I need to thank God or thank the powers that be. I don't have a doggone thing to complain about.
Yeah.
That makes sense?
It makes a lot of sense. I raced with a guy by the name of Casey McAllister. He has no legs, and he does his Spartan races on his hands. So not a lot of complaining around Casey. So, Assoff, tell us your story, man.
Yes. Well, I was born and raised in Israel. I was a staff sergeant in the Israeli Army. And then I moved to the United States, where I became a deputy sheriff in Pinellas County, Florida. I got injured twice in the line of duty, and after the second injury, I had above-the-knee amputation 9 years ago. I had a total of 42 surgeries on my leg and residual limb because I have severe CRPS throughout my residual limb and the back. So it's been 3 years since I could wear a prosthetic. And obviously, the weather affects it. Live in severe pain all the time. My whole stump opens up to sores due to CRPS. And I met Steve about a year ago. And then in April, he invited me to kind of take me under his wing into his gym and start training me in strongman competition. And in April, I could not deadlift at 200 pounds. And today I just PR'd at 415, 6 times 3. Yep. So I found it to be, for me, as an amputee living in constant pain, there's really nothing that works for the nerve pain and all the frustration as an amputee that you want to do stuff and sometimes you can't. I find it to me to be a phenomenal release for the frustration, a way to deal with depression, with PTSD, a way to feel good about myself, get stronger, and now I can do stuff that I couldn't do before. And I used to go to the gym, regular gym, and I could never care less what people think about me. And I just went there to kind of take out the mental pus. But finally, some professional guidance and really feeling and seeing the results and being able to do that and the move. And when I can get out of bed, I'm here. And I do stuff with my daughter. I have a 10-year-old daughter who kind of motivates me and kicks me in the butt when I need it. And it feels great, and do this and picking up atlas stones from, in a seated position and moving it across your body, higher up. It's stuff that I could never think I'd be able to do, and I live on crutches in a wheelchair. So it's been absolutely phenomenal for what it does mentally, and the ability to deal with pain and frustration and everything else. It's a phenomenal release, and I say it's kind of taking out the mental pus out and be able to be a better person, better father, and just enjoy it.
That's great. Now, how did you two meet?
I would say the beneficiary of our event is Challenge America. They're a nonprofit that does great things for veterans. Assoff is on the board and also a receiving member of a lot of great stuff that they do. And we wanted to team up with them to begin with. And the founder, Houston Cowan, is actually a dear friend of ours. So he introduced us to Assoff, and we just hit it off. Personalities clicked. We have a lot of fun together, a lot of similarities growing up, a lot of similarities, in mindset and all of that. So it's been a great group. We actually went to Cleveland back in April. Challenge America puts on an event called Cam Vets, or Makers for Heroes. And they pick 7 veterans who have a need that needs to be filled. And then they put together 7 teams to create, invent, manufacture whatever that need is that has not been fulfilled. And I was actually invited to be on one of those teams.
And all done in 2.5 days.
Yep. It takes place through the Cleveland Clinic at the Innovation Center and at St. Edward's Boys School there in Cleveland. Mm-hmm. So we formed a pretty good bond there with 7 of the individuals, but also the fact that Assoff and I got to spend a fair amount of time together working on something that we both had a mutual investment in, and we're trying to help other people. Okay. So that's kind of how we met. And now we're on to bigger and better things. We want to create more opportunity for more people.
Okay, so with your event that you got going on, how can people, I guess that's the biggest thing, how can people get involved with that?
There's an event page right on Facebook, and if you go to Crown Mountain Strongman or crownmountainstrongman.com, there's a website. There's still room for athletes, sponsors, and we want to have as many people come out in the general public and witness, these great feats of strength by all of these amazing athletes. But I would say you can go to Challenge America or crownmountainstrongmanchampionship.com, or find the event, Google that on Facebook, or search it on Facebook, and you'll find all the links you need to for registration, hotels, the events, the weights, and we can talk about all of those, the events that are out there, because we have several divisions for opportunities for athletes, because just like the World Championship for disabled athletes, there are 4 divisions.
And also on Instagram, you can.
Oh yeah, Crown Mountain Strongman on Instagram. I have a page there. I forgot about that one.
Okay, and what are the dates?
Documenting some of my achievements.
I'm sorry. Go ahead, Sean.
So, what are your dates that this is going on?
The event, actually, the Strongman competition is August 17th at Crown Mountain Park. August 16th, which is Friday night after weigh-ins at 7 o'clock at one of the, what's it called? The Cornerstone Christian Center. They have donated their space, Assoff and Casey Mitchell are going to give a little bit of motivational talk to all of the athletes from the point of view of what Casey's pretty amazing. He was an Iraqi wounded veteran, below the knee amputee, who got addicted to pain pills, got severely depressed, and he pulled himself out of all of that. And he's now a motivational speaker and a very successful powerlifter and entrepreneur. He's got his own line of supplements, but he speaks all over the country, helping and motivating people. Part of our community here in Carbondale is a large percentage of alcohol and drug rehab centers. Okay. So one of our other sponsors, Core Gym, and myself, we team up to make sure that Casey comes in, because with all of his experience as a disabled athlete and a recovering, prescription addict, he lends himself to help a whole lot of people and covers a broad spectrum of our audience that we want to help.
That's awesome. I'm looking at your flyer here. So tell us about some of the things that they will actually be doing at the competition.
Oh, absolutely. The first event that all of the athletes are doing, whether it's a seated one is whether you can have a little leg drive, or seated 2, which means no leg drive, and then standing. Everyone will do some form of deadlift. Assoff himself will actually be doing what's called a seated deadlift, but all the other athletes will be doing a standing deadlift. We have one young man who suffers from cerebral palsy. He's coming up from St. George. He'll actually deadlift 245 pounds, which may be a world record in that weight class in his division. Wow. The world record, I think now is what? 502 kilos in a seated deadlift. So that's 1,127 or 30.
I'll be in about 7 months.
So these athletes are really crushing it. But like Assoff, he's got a deadlift in a minute. They have a limited time. So he'll be doing a seated deadlift for maximum amount of reps with 400 pounds.
Wow.
And that's a pretty standard lift. And it's a great test of strength, because lifting anything, a dead position on the floor, to elevate it above the floor, it's a pure test of strength and will. And all of the athletes will do a deadlift. The second event will be a Zercher carry, which is if you've ever seen the World's Strongest Man on TV, you know that the yoke, they carry these giant tires or benches with people on them. We take a yoke, and instead of having it carried on the back of our shoulders, we carry it in the crook of our arms between our forearm and our bicep and rest it on our belly. The Assoff will actually be holding that. So basically it's a static lift, hold for time. Able body and standing athletes will actually carry that for 60 feet.
Oh man. That's brutal.
And what's really fun about Strongman, it's not strength is, 70% body, or if you will, probably 30% body, 70% mind. Mm-hmm. Because if you think you can, you will. And if you think you can't, you will not. And if you're intimidated by weights, and sometimes that weight manifests in your head and it feels like it's glued to the floor. The Zercher carry is one of those events that you just go, oh my goodness. But as Assoff can attest, when we first started doing it, it was amazingly awful. And now he's learned to become, if you will, comfortable with being uncomfortable.
I know that feeling.
For me, it's been incredible. And I have to tell you, in the beginning of April, when I started with a seated deadlift, I was at about 205 pounds, and I felt like I have nothing left in me. Mm-hmm. And Steve told me that in the competition it's going to be 400 pounds. I said, okay. And then I said, how many times in a minute will be a good rep that I would not embarrass you or the gym, because me, I couldn't care less about myself. And we decided 18. I'm like, all right, 18 it is. And, today I did 415 pounds. And in April, I would never thought I'd be able to do it.
Wow.
But it just, and it's a phenomenal way. especially as an amputee with CRPS, every time I activate my whole lower body and everything flares up, it's a phenomenal way to find a true, clean place in my mind to keep on doing and moving and going forward.
That's awesome. So I heard you mention the Arnold Classic. So does this qualify them for something if they do your competition?
Yes, sir, it does. The winner of the actually, I think the first top 2 positions of each class in the adaptive strongman category qualify for the Arnold Classic in March 2020. So if there's anyone out there listening that's even remotely interested in challenging themselves or moving themselves forward or trying to reach that level, maybe they're already doing events, come and qualify. Top 2 positions will automatically go through to the Arnold, and that's the big stage. That's like the Indianapolis 500 or the Super Bowl of strongman and strength athletics. Just being invited and qualifying to go or going as a spectator all by itself, you can't help but get goosebumps and enthusiasm and energized for great things to come. So yeah, that Arnold Classic, the adaptive athletes, is a huge opportunity.
Now, for people who, let's say, they want to get involved in this and they are trying to think, man, how do I train for something like that? Do you have some information for people in your area to where they can come and learn how to get involved and train and do things like this?
I do an open gym on Saturdays typically and teach strongman to everyone and anyone who's willing to come. But you bring up a great point, because we also, and no one else has done this, we have a novice division because, some of the guys that go to Arnold are absolutely amazing. Mm-hmm. But I want to make sure that the door is open and not intimidate anyone who, say, a never ever, who might be interested in it. We have a novice class for just those people to come and test the waters. Come and have fun. The weights are not crazy, although the weights are doable. And reach out to me on Instagram, Crown Mountain Strongman. I think I tutor 20 or 30 individuals just over Instagram with videos right now all over the country, trying to get them, there's a lot of gyms in the country that aren't strongman gyms. So training specific events in a normal gym take a little bit of creativity. And I certainly have enough experience to help anybody out and answer any of those questions. Look for me on Crown Mountain Strongman on Instagram, and I'll help out anybody, answer any questions. No question is a dumb question. Please ask everything.
And I have to attest that Steve is the Einstein of adaptive strongman. Due to my personal battles with, being above the knee amputee, cannot wear a prosthetic, with the CRPS, with pain, with everything else, figure out a way how to do it all. And not to stop it, and actually going up and up and getting stronger and stronger in weight, and that all thanks to Steve. I call him the Einstein of adaptive strongman. Awesome. You can check it out. I'm with Stumpy. So that's what that's my Instagram. It was after one of my really bad surgeries and being in the hospital for 7 months, and I rolled myself out to a tattoo shop, and it just ended up like that.
Well, they definitely will not forget that, for sure. I'm going to basically make sure that I do put up, I got some of your flyers here. I'll put those up for you for sure. Tell people when this is happening again so that they know, and where.
August 17th, Crown Mountain Park, Carbondale, Colorado. August 16th is a night with Casey Mitchell and Assoff, and there's no cover charge to any of these events. They're all nonprofit, open to the public. So the night with Casey Mitchell is a pretty amazing night, 7 to 9 or so. There'll be motivational talks and about his story, and that happens at the Cornerstone Christian Center there in Carbondale, Colorado as well.
Okay.
So, and everything's within a couple miles of, what is it? It's 20 miles to the airport. We're 3 hours from Denver. If someone's thinking about trying to, logistic-wise, We're 7 hours from Salt Lake, probably 12 or 14 hours from you in California. I actually have one individual who is coming out from Sacramento, California.
Wow, that's pretty cool.
So, an individual coming in from Australia.
Man.
So, I'm trying to create opportunity, and I want to get opportunity to everyone, everywhere, and say, hey, let's find possibilities. You know, just like Assoff said, my theory on adaptive athletes and adaptive strongman, adaptive CrossFit, because it's a growing sport with the number of veterans that we have in this country, and disabled people in general, you know, civilians and veterans alike. We as gym people and trainers, we need to be adaptive as well, because then we're non-exclusionary. Because I want I want everything to be all-inclusive, nobody left out.
That's
and
awesome.
Opportunity it's just healthy. So, but let's get back to the events. So we have the deadlift and the Zercher carry, and then if you've seen, there's 5 events that'll be done in one day.
Oh.
And the third event will be the circus dumbbell. Everyone who goes to the gym is familiar with a dumbbell that has an 1.125" handle. You can get your hands around it, you can hang on to it. Well, a circus dumbbell has a 3.125" handle, so you can't quite grip it with one hand. And then instead of being little plate weights on the end of it, it's got a big 10 or 12-inch bell on the end of it. So they're cartoonishly large, so that they're fun to watch. So the third event will be a circus dumbbell for the most amount of reps you can do in a minute.
Wow. And how
So
heavy is
it'll
it?
be a lot of fun to watch. It really will.
So the circus dumbbell, typically how heavy is that?
Well, they range from 50 pounds to, I think the current world record for an able-bodied athlete is like 330 pounds right now, or 318 pounds perhaps. And I actually have a couple that are loadable, so we can literally make mine 270 pounds. But the weights for the adaptive athletes are between 50 and 120.
Okay.
So, you know, a 50-pound single arm, and the stinker of that circus dumbbell is it can be raised to the shoulder with 2 hands because you can't hang on to it, but it must be pressed overhead with just one arm. So it works your stabilizers, your core, your shoulder, your lat. You know, it makes it very interesting. It's fun to watch.
Oh, I bet.
And if anyone out there is thinking about trying to figure out how to do that particular exercise,
you broke up on me there. Are you still with us, Steve? So everybody bear with us. He's in Are you still there? So Steve's on his cell phone. He's in the mountains in Colorado, so if we do lose him, I want to kind of talk to you guys and let you know. I saw all the the comments about
athletes and standing athletes will actually pick up a sandbag from the floor and load it over a bar between 48 and 52 inches high, and that will be for reps. You know, and those sandbags will range from, I want to say, 125 pounds to the heavy open weight men will actually load a 325-pound sandbag over bar.
You're going to have to pick up right where
that's
you left
world-class
off
weight.
with
That's real weight in a bag with no handles.
We lost you for a little bit, Steve.
Jump in here on one leg for a second.
Yep.
As when I was being introduced to that by Steve with the Atlas stones, I'm like, oh, this is easy. You know, I could hug it towards me and pick it up and move it. And when Steve saw I was comfortable, you know, the Einstein of adaptive up, and he says, "Here, okay, here's the sandbag, and then good luck of trying to get a good grip on it and hug it." Well, all the sand is moving around inside, but it teaches you. It really does. It teaches you that you can do it, and it's fun, and it's mind clearing.
So, Steve, I don't know if you can still pick me up on your end. Can you hear me?
So that was the 4th event. And then our 5th event is actually, I call it the death medley because it tests strength and conditioning and grip. It's actually basically 5 events in one with a time limit of 75 seconds, where they'll actually load a 100-pound medicine ball and then a 150-pound sandbag, and then another Atlas stone onto a platform. But then they'll transition into what I call the wrist twisting snail drag race. What I've created is it's a grip exercise where you've seen people roll a stick with a rope on it to lift weight off the floor. We've taken that one step further and tied a rope onto a handle that turns and tied it to a sled that's 10 feet away from the athlete, and they have to twist that. Basically, it's a piece of pipe with a rope tied to it, reeling in the sled. And it is so much fun to watch because the athletes move their hand at 100 miles an hour, and the sled moves about an inch every 20 minutes. It's fun to watch. So it should be really fun to watch. The sled will be 200 pounds, I believe.
So
Reverse grip.
Yeah, so it's a lot of thumb strength, shoulder strength, forearm strength. The sandbag stuff isn't too bad, but after you've already lifted the heavy stuff and then you have to go and do something that requires a little dexterity, will be a lot of fun. It'll be fun to watch. That's what I'm excited for. And Assoff has done it, and he got quite a kick out of it.
And for people on palm flexors,
I bet he did.
that guy's going to have like 4 feet in. And it's all sheer power and will, and it's absolutely horrific and amazing at the same time. I love it.
So Steve, can you guys get me on your end? Can you hear me still?
You there?
I'm here, but you guys have you faded out for a little bit. I didn't want to cut you off when you came back in because you were describing some cool stuff. So we'll definitely cover some of the stuff you're talking about. But you faded out for a while. But when you came back in,
I'm sorry.
You were describing some painful stuff, so I just let you keep going, man.
Oh,
because some of the stuff you were describing, I was like, oh man, that sounds like
that's incredible.
So
and you'll be able.
But I think people are getting the gist of what you're talking about, which is, it sounds like you've put together a well thought out plan here that people are definitely going to be tested if they come to this event and participate in it. So I think there'll be definitely at some point in time, I'd love to get to Colorado. Check this out. I'll tell you what I am going to do for you, because we have a newly developed newsletter. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take some of your information that you sent to me. I think one of your Strongman flyer and some of the other stuff.
Yeah.
I'll find a page for you in our digital newsletter and put that in there. So as we put out this month's newsletter coming out, you'll have a couple pages to promote your event. I really want to make sure people get the word and put you out there like that, because I think what you're trying to do is something that's well needed. And it's kind of funny because, as I mentioned to you, I came across a young man earlier today, actually 2 young men earlier today, who an above knee and a below knee amputee, who want to get up. They want to get active. They want to hike. They want to get into the gym. They want to lose weight. And I think when people are thinking about people with limb loss or disabilities and trying to help them achieve those goals, I think that's awesome. And I think what you guys are doing is really awesome. I appreciate it. And I'm glad that Mason kind of brought us together and we got to meet each other, and I got to have you on the show. Hopefully, I'm just looking at your flyer here. I'll try and give you guys some time. Maybe we'll have you on before August 17th again, really quick to kind of promote that again. But if we don't, take a lot of pictures for me, and I would love to post those on our Facebook page. This show's going to go up, too. I'm going to have to adjust some audio because I hear some people saying they can't hear us. Well, they can't really hear you. So what I'm going to do is, after I end the show, I'm just going to pull up the audio and video. I'll edit it, and then I'll repost the video with all the audio in it for everybody out there that really is missing out on something that's really cool, because I think what you guys are doing and what what's happening with what you're talking about is really cool.
Well, Sean, I love the opportunity talking with you. And if you would do myself and everybody out there a favor, plug that Crown Mountain Strongman Instagram and let people know they can ask absolutely any question, whether it has to do with any kind of strength athletic question for adaptive athletes. If I don't have the answer, I have resources and I'll get the answer. And we want to let them know that there's more resources out there, not just my gym. There's a great gym in Sacramento called Super Training Gym. It's actually free to the public. One of our sponsors actually owns it and operates it. And there's more and more strongman gyms available. There's a great one in Columbus. I can't think of the name of it off the top of my head. But if someone is anywhere in the country and they're trying to find some help, have them reach out to me because I'll help them attain the help and the information that they're after.
I'll definitely do that, and I'll point people in your direction. I have Jolie's email. If you just send me your email too, I will definitely make sure people know where to get to. I actually posted your website into tonight's comments, so your site is definitely up here. And when we end, I'll make sure this video gets back up and people can actually hear all the audio that I heard, and definitely try and promote you as much as I can with everything that I'm doing, because I think what you're doing is really special. So two guys,
I appreciate that.
You two guys are great to have on the show, and just some of the things you described, some of the events that they have to do. I was cringing, man, because I was just thinking about how painful that would be. So
I can attest to any amputee out there, anybody with a wheelchair, any person with disability, it can be done. It's a great way to deal with a lot of junk that we deal with in our day-to-day life. It's a great release, and it really is awesome for the soul. And you start slow, you start small, and you build up slowly. And, I never thought in April that I'd be here today doing what I was doing. And it's thanks to Steve and the care. But it can be done, and, just get out there and do it. And reach out for someone that cares, and you'll be able to do it and knock it out of the ballpark, because it's a lot of fun.
And that sounds awesome. Well, I want to thank both of you for being on the show, taking the time to take the call. I will work on getting all this up so all the viewers and listeners can hear what you guys have to offer to them. And again, send me over anything that you feel is relevant, and I will try and add you on my Instagram page and for sure on my Facebook page. I want to thank you both for coming on board, talking to Amp Nation, and letting them know some of the cool things that you guys got going on out there in Colorado. So thank
you so very much.
Yeah.
We appreciate the opportunity.
Hey, you guys sound great. One day we will actually meet, because Colorado is on my list of places I want to go. So
all right.
It's a great road trip. So, just come on down.
I will definitely do. And trust me, I'll let you know as soon as I'm packed up and I'm rolling that way.
Well, maybe next year we'll bring you as a special guest.
That would be awesome. Maybe that's something to look at. Let's plan on
You could do maybe you could do a live broadcast during the contest.
That's what I'm thinking.
Right?
Yeah.
That would be amazing. Because people believe what they can see, boy, and if they can, once they see it, it becomes possible.
Yeah, I think that'd be awesome.
Assoff and Casey and Mason Hall, those guys are all clearing a path for other athletes that think they can do it but aren't sure they can do it. Once you see someone else do it, you know that it's proven possible.
Yeah.
And they seize that. It's fantastic.
I totally believe it. So thanks, guys, again. I know. I hope it's cooler there in Colorado than it is here in Modesto.
It sure is, and there's no humidity.
Yeah, man, I'm jealous. I'll just tell you that much. I'm jealous. Well, you two have a wonderful evening. Thanks for being on the show, guys.
Thanks, sir.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. Have a good evening.
Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
So, guys out there in Amp Nation, I was pushing my technological capabilities to the max tonight. So some of you didn't get the sound that was coming through. We were sitting there talking before the show, trying to test all these things out. And then I don't know, I got really, juiced up. I'm trying to do a watch party that's black over here now. So guys, bear with me with this technology stuff, but we'll get it figured out. And like I said, right now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring the show to a close. Hey, that was a good show. It's something that I tried to bring to you that is basically showing you all the things that are out there, because there's so many things for you as amputees, and I have a lot of people that present stuff to me, and I do want to put them on the show so that you know that you're not alone and there's a way to be able to get up and do something. That's probably one of the biggest things that amputees struggle with is weight gaining. Because once you lose mobility, we tend to pick up the pounds. And in picking up the pounds, our health can decline. So I always want to make sure that you understand there's a lot of different things out there that you can get involved in. Get yourself up, get off the couch, get healthy, get fit. Yes, is it hard? Yes, everything's hard. Whether you're a BK, AK, missing an upper extremity. But as long as you're breathing and you're above dirt, man, get out there and live this thing called life because there's nothing like it. And I want to try and motivate all of you out there in the Amp Nation to get up and do something. Get out there, get the sun on your face, get the wind through your hair, and meet some awesome people. Meet some people that are doing things that hopefully will truly be inspirational to you. I'm very blessed to have a team full of amazing guys, Pat and Dave Gannis and Casey, that motivate me every single day to get up and train for our Spartan races that we do. By the way, September 28th, Tahoe World Championships, we are doing a beast as a team. Life is really kind of what you make it, guys. I mean, yes, everybody has their own struggles that we're dealing with, and we have to kind of take everything in stride. Take it a day at a time. So I'm going to post up some stuff for them for sure. If you're not getting that newsletter that I mentioned, you just send me an email, subscribe@amplifetalkradio.com to hear all the shows and not miss anything. Make sure you have us saved in your bookmarks, amplifetalkradio.com. Of course, I'm on Facebook and all these other social media platforms. I'm going to get off here because I got to prep this and get this ready to put back up because you guys really missed a good show. Even though, unfortunately, cell phones, when you're in the mountains, you can lose some phone calls. Even with the lost drop portion of the show, I still think that was a good show because it was about disseminating information. And I think they put a good message forth to those of you that want to try something like that and to push your limits, to get out there and see what you truly can do and what you truly can be. Me, I'm always trying to push those limits no matter what it is or where I'm at. And I truly encourage each and every one of you to do the same. I'm going to prep this show for you guys. I promise to get the video up to speed with the audio. I'll do that right now when I sign off, and I'll post this back up for you guys. But I want to thank all of you for tuning in to another episode of Amp Life Talk Radio, a show for amputees and those who are affected by limb loss. If you are dealing with limb loss, I want you to know you are not alone. And thanks again, everyone, for listening to Amp Life Talk Radio.
You are listening to Sean Harrison on Amp Life Talk Radio, a place for amputees and those dealing with limb loss. The views expressed on the show by the host, co-hosts, and guests are their own. Always seek medical advice from a licensed medical professional.